And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I got this game, Epigo. It's about a legend of a Babylonian king with an uncanny ability to cheat death. But when I looked at it, I saw that it was an abstract strategy game, which I'd like if they're good. But boy, did it look boring. Wow. Don't judge a game by its cover. It's very true. Very true, especially true in this case, because wow, did I like this game. Very entertaining, very much trying to outguess your opponent. Games are not that long. One wrong move can cost you, and there are many times where it came down to me saying, I got to do the right thing this turn or I'm going to lose. Let's look at it and you'll see why I like it so much. This is the basic setup here on the board. And what players are doing is each player will get pieces, 8 pieces, numbered 1 through 7, and then one of them is an X. And you'll be placing them face down like the green pieces are placed. And then once each player has set up their pieces, you turn them over and reveal them, and the X's are removed. Alright, so you're basically setting up 7 pieces. Players are then, they take a handful of tiles that show each of the pieces, numbers, with an arrow. There's also a piece called Slam, which isn't used in the basic game. And there's also a piece that shows no number. I suppose this is a replacement piece, but it will come in handy and I'll show you how. What each player is going to do during each turn of the game is they're going to pick 3 numbers that they want to move. So let's say, for example, I want to move 1 forward 1, and then I want to move 6 over this direction 1, and then I want to move 4 forward 1. I will put them like this. So this means 1's going to move forward 1, then 6 is going to move 1 that direction, and 4 will move 1 over that way. I'll place this extra tile on top of them to keep them secret, and place them there. My opponent is going to do something at the same time. And so let's say he puts down his tiles, and then we're going to reveal them one at a time. So first, 1 and 6 are both moving. When this happens, we move the larger number first. So first 6 moves over 1 this way, and then 1 pushes in that direction. Then we have 2 moving 1 this direction. Now, when this happens, you'll see that 2 is going to push all these other pieces. And that is possible if there are more pieces being pushed, if there's more green pieces involved than there is white pieces. And the way you figure that out is you start counting from here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 green to 1 white. However, if there had been 5 white to 1 green, green wouldn't be able to push. But as it is, green pushes and the white one is off the board. And then after that, and 6 had moved over 1, 2. Then 4 pushes forward 1, and 3 goes this direction. Now, there's a special rule called slide, that when you move to a spot and you are not touching any other opponent's piece, then you can move another space. That's called slide. So that is a way to get around quickly. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to push your opponent's pieces off the board. Now, when we turn these over, the higher number goes first. But if both players reveal the same number at the same time, then neither player goes. And this is a way to kind of stop your opponent from moving. If you can figure out what they're going to do first, you can play the same number. The first person to knock 3 other pieces off the board is the winner. And that's it. That's the basic game. But there's some more variants to that. There's different setups. The advanced rules here, there's a butterfly setup, there's a scattered setup, there's an ooze setup, and the ooze setup allows 4-player teams to come in. But what's really neat is this, the wall of variance. Now look at that. What you do is you draw 2 tiles, and then you compare those. Let's say I draw a 2 and a 7. Then we're going to use the King's variant here, which will change some aspect of the game. Sometimes it lets you use the X pieces. Sometimes it lets you use this slam marker that will be used in some of these variants. And there's even more variants involved on the internet. So what you can do is when you play a full game of Epigo, you basically will play 3 rounds, and each round will have one of these variants involved. And so that's all in the variant book, but the basic game itself is interesting enough as it is. The variant book will allow you to play the game much, much longer than that. So that's basically what you're trying to do in this game, is trying to maneuver your pieces to knock the other player off the board and trying to outguess them. Because if, for example, you have a situation like this. Let's say, for example, here we have these pieces set up like this. Now, I know on my turn that I can probably use the 4 to push that 1 off the board, but they might use their 2 to push me. Now, if I'm the green player, I say, well, fine. I'm going to play the 4 first because I know 4 will go before 2, so I will push before 2 moves over. But at the same time, the white player might know that, so they might use their white 4 marker first to stop mine from moving, and then their second move will be their 2 to move over that direction. But the white player might know that I know that, so they might decide to do something completely different. And so the game is a lot of fun in that regard, trying to outguess your opponent, and sometimes you can set it up so that they actually push their own pieces off the board, which is hilariously fun. So this is the game of Epigo. Epigo has gone onto my list of favorite abstracts. I mean, you could see it with all those variants. There's so many ways to play the game. But I mean, even so, just the basic concept of trying to outguess your opponent. Now, that's something I've always enjoyed, and it's something I've always been terrible at. But in this one, I pull it off a lot, because I think, okay, they're going to go for the quick push my character off there, but I'm going to maneuver him out of the way, and then when they're in that position, I'll be able to push them, and you can do some really nifty things with this. Of course, if you make mistakes, you could lose and, go big or go home, but it's just interesting. And the alternate setups, this is a game that's going to keep me occupied for a long time. Certainly one of my favorite abstract games that I've played in a long time, and I'm kind of ashamed that I thought it looked so boring from the cover, although some people who like archaeology are going to be like, ooh, and you know what? Get it, because it's a good, fast, 2-player abstract game that has a replayability factor that is huge.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.